show. The reason I carry a gun is because I can't carry a cop. Thanks for catching me again here on YouTube. I wanted to make this video to talk a little bit about the Tucson shooting. If you've listened to my last podcast, I really didn't get a chance to spend too much time on that because James and I were talking a lot about the rental guns. But a few things that I want to say about that and just kind of let you be the judge here and the opinion. First of all, it kind of makes me wonder, why weren't there some people that were packing that day? One of my listeners to my show said that because that area, that part of Tucson, is not necessarily a real area where carrying a gun is accepted. Even though Arizona is a gun-friendly state, you know, there's a high granola factor in that part of Tucson. Not being from there, because I live in Texas, I don't know. I'll say this, though. If you're watching this video and you're not sure if you should be carrying your gun, think about if that was you at Safeway that day. You just went to Safeway to get some groceries. It was an innocent trip. You weren't expecting anything, but folks, sometimes trouble finds you. That's the message I want to give to you. You may not go looking for trouble, but sometimes trouble finds you. And the problem is if you're not ready for it, if you're not packing, if you go through the trouble to get a license, carry your gun. Now, those of you who live in Arizona, you're fortunate. You don't need to have a license to carry concealed. Take advantage of that. I don't know why people don't take advantage of it. So let me explain to you some things that I never do without. First of all, one of the things I don't do without is my Glock 19. Now, this, I'm typically carrying this. First of all, I'll show you it's an unloaded weapon, okay? So you can be sure that it's safe. I'm typically carrying this gun in this holster right here, my CompTac holster. Now, this is my CompTac M-Tac holster, and I got to tell you, folks, this thing is so comfortable. As you can see, I'm dressed right now with just a long sleeve button-down business shirt, and you can't see it because I'm sitting down, but I've got an untucked shirt, and it's a straight tail shirt. I have no problem. I made 4 business calls today, and I was packing my Glock 19 in this CompTac M-Tac holster, and I got to tell you, it was no problem at all. It's very, very comfortable. Some of you like the backing of that. Some people like the crossbreed. That's fine too. If crossbreed works better for you, I like to have a decent sized gun with me whenever I can. I think having a decent sized gun is important. You know, you think about the people in Safeway that day. If they were packing, what if they were packing a little .380 in their pocket? Would they have been as well protected? I happen to think that they probably wouldn't. Now, I realize that there are times where you just can't always carry a decent sized gun. Some people think a Glock 19 is a small gun. I happen to think that it's a decent sized gun. I like to say, and I've said this on my podcast before, I'd charge hell with a Glock 19. Okay? Hopefully I don't have to charge hell, but if I did, if I found myself where the stink really hits the fan, I feel confident with this Glock 19. I've practiced with it and I've trained with it, and so I feel real confident with it. Now, do I carry a backup gun? Yes, I do. This is my CAR P380. Now, I've done a review on this. You can go to other parts of my channel and you can see my review on the CAR P380. This thing is without a doubt always in my pocket. As a matter of fact, I use a pocket holster just like this. This is the DeSantis Nemesis pocket holster that I use. Okay, and the CAR P380 fits in there very nicely. Now, one thing I want to show you about this is that, by the way, we do have an unloaded, safe and clear weapon. Okay, I don't do anything unsafe on videos. As you can see, I've added a Pierce grip extension. I'll get that a little bit closer to the camera for you. I've added a Pierce grip extension to the grip so that it gives it a little bit more gripping surface for me. Without that, it's a little bit hard for me to get a hold of with my hands. You'll also notice that I put a Hogue rubber grip on it. None of this makes it harder to conceal, but it makes it so much easier for me to shoot. This magazine extension here does not add an extra round, but what it does do is it gives me a great place to put my pinky on the grip. So I've got more of a full-size grip. I'll kind of turn this here a little bit so you can see how my pinky has a place to rest on that. All right, this is almost always in my pocket, folks. And this is a rather pricey gun. Some people say, well, the CAR P380s are expensive. Yeah, folks, but you know what? It shoots great. It shoots very well. The trigger is buttery smooth. I've run about 11 or 1200 rounds through it. No problem. I love shooting that. I just recently shot a backup gun match with that Car P380. And if you go and listen to my podcast, I think it was episode number 105. I was talking about shooting a backup gun match with this gun right here. And it worked great. It worked flawlessly, and I had no problems with it. So I like it. In my opinion, folks, never an excuse to go anywhere without this in my pocket. Looks just like a wallet when it's in my pocket, and never an excuse. Do I carry both of these? Some people want to know if I carry both. Yeah, quite often I have this in my weak side pocket. So I'm a right-hander, so it'll be over in my left pocket, my left front hip pocket. The reason I carry it in the weak side is in case my strong hand is disabled by my attacker, I can use my weak hand and I can still get to a gun, and I can still defend myself. It's called being prepared, ladies and gentlemen. And some of you have seen you've listened to my show called Today's Survival Show. I do a show on common sense preparedness. I talk a lot in there about covering all the angles. I think it's the same thing when you carry a gun. I think carrying a backup gun is so important. So oftentimes I will have my primary carry, which is my Glock 19. I'll have my primary carry strong side hip with this holster. And by the way, folks, this holster is starting to convert me from appendix carry to hip carry. This thing is so fast, and you'll see my other review on it. It's so fast and it's so comfortable that I can get to it and I can draw it quickly. And I train that way most of the time. When I shoot IDPA and sometimes when I shoot USPSA, I train drawing from the strong side. So because I've been training a lot that way, I have no problems carrying it at about 3 o'clock or 3:30. So yeah, sometimes I've got both of these. Here, we'll get them lined up a little bit. That's terrible, isn't it? Sorry about that. Anyway, it may look like a lot of gun, but it's not. And my frame, folks, I'm not very big. I'm about 195 and 5'10". You can do it. They say dress around your gun. Well, this is what I mean about, or this is what I think about dressing around your gun. I'm going to go ahead and stand up here for you. I'm just wearing some slacks, some business slacks. These are wool business slacks, and here's my untucked shirt. Now, the camera distorts it a little bit, but it hangs perfectly. It's a straight-tailed untucked shirt, and in the wintertime here in Texas, this is excellent. I typically wear the same type of shirt like this for short sleeves. It's becoming very accepted. This is business casual. It's becoming very accepted for doing business, and I'm in sales. And at the bare minimum, folks, I've got that Car P380 in my pocket. So I would suggest if you're looking at a pocket gun, I know that I've done some podcasts and I've had some people interviewing on my show that aren't real big on these little 380s, okay? Let's say this. If you've got good ammo in your 380, I want to talk to you about this for a minute. If you've got good ammo, if you've got Corbon, if you've got some good Federal Hydroshocks, I really like the Golden Saber, Remington Golden Saber 105 grain. If you've got those, I think that you can make them get off you. I think what this is, I've heard this called a get off me gun. Yeah, that's what it is, folks. It's a get off me gun. It's a get the heck off me gun. In other words, if you, for some reason, you have to go to your backup gun, your primary gun is either unavailable or it fails, you've got something that you can use. It's better than not having a gun at all. I really believe that. It's not my primary carry. I've talked about that, but I really believe it's better than not having a gun at all. Ruger LCPs are nice. You might want to check out the new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. It's not a bad gun. I wish it would have been a 9mm, and I wish that Smith & Wesson would come out with a little slimline single stack 9mm, but they haven't yet. But the Bodyguard 380 has a built-in laser, and it's a pretty fine piece. A lot of people are still carrying Kel-Tec 380s. The Car PM9, which I'm going to do a review on my Car PM9. That's a very pocketable backup gun. Have something, folks. You never know when you might be the person at Safeway or a store similar to that, and something happens and some crazy guy like Jared Loeffner starts shooting. Think about that. Just when you think that we are living in a society that is safer, something like that reminds you that it's really not. So thanks again for listening. I hope I've kind of given you some more ideas about carrying and so forth. If you have any questions, there's a comment section here. Again, let me invite you, for those of you who have not listened to my podcast, you can find it at handgunworld.com. It's called the Handgun World Show, and it's also on iTunes. You can search Handgun World Show on iTunes. So remember, folks, the reason I carry a gun is because I can't carry a cop. Thanks for tuning in.